The Asics Superblast 3 were released at the beginning of March 2026, and I was thankfully able to order a pair on release day in this rather divisive colourway described as Cobalt Burst and Light Orange. I'll be quite honest, I really like it. I am deep into my London Marathon training block, which has meant I've been able to clock up 100 kilometres in them over the last couple of training weeks, so I thought I'd give you some of my thoughts after 100k. This review is not sponsored. I bought the Asics Superblast 3 with my own money, so all the views here are my own and based purely on my experience wearing the Superblast 3. Before I go on, running shoe reviews are very subjective, so I recommend you seek out a range of reviews and try to know a little bit about the person reviewing them to see if they align with what you're looking for. So a bit about me, I've been running for about 14 years. My current PBs across 5k, 10k, half and full marathon distances are on screen now. I am a flat arched runner and I weigh about 190 pounds. Most of the year I am in marathon training blocks and do a variety of run types in my training, including interval, tempo, steady, easy and long runs. I typically run 4 times a week with distances ranging up to about 65 kilometers a week during peak training periods. So enough about me and onto some facts about the Superblast 3. The Asics Superblast 3 retail for £200 here in the UK. I got them with the discount code, so I paid £169.99, excluding shipping for my pair. Like previous Superblasts, they are available in a unisex fit and are available in larger sizes than any previous Superblast model, with sizes now up to a UK 14, a US 15 and an EU 50.5. They weigh in at 293.8 grams in my UK 13, making them 6 grams or so lighter than my old UK 12 Superblast 2, which is quite a feat. This puts them 4th in my shoe collection by weight, beaten by the Asics Megablast, the Hoka Rocket X3, and as of recently no longer in my collection, but still interesting for comparison, the Adidas Evo SL. The Superblast 3 have an engineered woven upper, which is a bit different to the engineered mesh upper on last year's Superblast 2. The upper on the 3 definitely feels softer to the touch on the outside and not as abrasive feeling as on the 2s. There is a nice level of cushioning on the heel collar, not as minimal as you would find on an all-out racing shoe, though not as plush as something like a Nike Vomero Plus, a nice middle ground that I think strikes the perfect balance. The heel cushioning, as well as the upper material of the shoe, makes the heel structure strong and doesn't show any signs of collapsing when putting the shoe on. The tongue on the Superblast 3 follows the formula seen on the other Blast shoes from Asics, such as the Megablast and the Novablast. It is gusseted and lightweight. On the Superblast 3, there are quite a lot of large holes on the bottom half of the tongue to aid breathability, which I haven't seen on any of the other Asics Blast shoes. The Superblast 3 have a top layer of Asics highest end premium foam, which is an ATPU foam called FF Leap, which is found on the full midsole of the Metaspeed Ray and the top layer of the Sky and the Edge. This is an upgrade from FF Turbo Plus, found on the top layer of the Superblast 2, and leaps over the FF Turbo Squared, found on the midsole of the Megablast. Speaking of the Megablast, I recently reviewed that shoe on the channel, so check out that review if you are interested. I also have a Superblast 3 versus Megablast review coming soon, so get subscribed if you would be interested in that. The top layer of FF Leap is complemented by a bottom layer of FF Blast Plus. This is the same bottom layered foam as last year's Superblast 2. According to Asics, the Superblast 3 have an 8mm drop with a huge 46.5mm of stack in the heel and 38.5mm in the toe, which the excellent website Run Repeat have all but confirmed as being accurate. The outsole is a strategically placed Asics grip outsole rubber at the front of the shoe and Asics high abrasion rubber at the back of the shoe. But like other Blast shoes, the majority of the base of the shoe is exposed midsole foam, in this case FF Blast Plus. The laces on the Superblast 3 are a standard flat style lace, different from the sawtooth style seen on the Megablast and on the Metaspeed range, but consistent with last year's Superblast 2. So on to my experience in the Superblast 3. As I mentioned at the start of the review, I've put about 100 kilometers through the Superblast 3 so far, and straight from the first run, I felt that the Superblast 3 were a very special pair of shoes. Compared to the Superblast 2, the 3s took no time to break in, and they were cushioned and responsive straight away. I found the break-in period on last year's Superblast 2 was about 50 kilometers, and even then they were still what I would call firm and responsive, whereas I found the Superblast 3 to be a lot more cushioned in feel, but still with an excellent level of pop and response. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a knock on the 2s. They went on to be one of my favourite shoes of all time, choosing them as my marathon day shoe twice, but the feel in the 3s is just different. The Superblast 3 have been on a whole host of runs with me so far, including hill sessions, tempo, steady, easy and long runs, including ones at marathon pace. I've found that they have fitted true to size with no need to lace lock and no discernible heel slippage. I've not experienced any rubbing or hot spots, and the gusseted tongue has performed amazingly without having to make any adjustments on any of my runs, and the padding in the tongue has been perfectly fine to protect my foot from the laces, which is what I've come to expect from all Blast shoes from Asics. Speaking of laces, so far the stock laces have been absolutely fine, enough length to double knot, and they haven't come undone at all. With regards to stability, I mentioned earlier that I have flat arches, so I favour shoes with a degree of stability, and so far I've found that the Superblast 3s have given me a good, stable ride. I haven't felt the need to swap out the factory insole with any kind of specialist one, which I have done in a few other pairs of running shoes lately, which has helped keep the Superblast 3 feeling super light on my feet. And I am also thankful Asics decided to stick with FF Blast Plus on the base of the midsole, as was the case with the Superblast 2, rather than favouring anything softer such as FF Blast Max, FF Turbo Plus or Squared. This might have disappointed some, but for me this makes a key and positive differentiator between the Superblast 3 and the Megablast. The key for stability seems to me Asics putting a higher wedge of the firmer FF Blast Plus foam at the midfoot on the medial side. I'm no expert, so I won't go as far as to claim this is a medial post, and in no way does it feel intrusive to the ride, but it definitely compresses less than the top layer FF Leap foam, providing some stability. I also think there might be a smidge of a soft guardrail on the medial and lateral side around the midfoot, which has also helped with giving me a stable ride. I typically won't take shoes I feel are unstable on long runs exceeding half marathon distance, but I've taken the Superblast 3s on a 29k long run, ran predominantly at marathon pace, and I have zero complaints and would do so again. And while I have generally worn the Superblast 3 on the road, that 29k long run was run on a mix of road, gravel, compacted earth and grass. That is typically where I can feel punished in a shoe lacking stability, such as a similar length mixed terrain run during my 2025 Valencia Marathon training block, where I abandoned wearing the Adidas Evo SL less than 10k into a 30k run, switching over to my Nike Vomero Plus. But the Superblast 3 performed just fine on all those terrains without causing me any stability nervousness at any point. On all of my runs, the Superblast 3 feels like a shoe that just wants to go fast. I think the rocker design really favours my foot strike, being a heel to mid-foot striker depending on pace. The heel rocker is quite aggressive, but unlike the Nike Structure Plus, there is a smooth transition into the midfoot and then into the toe off. The whole package has resulted in a shoe that when I am aiming for easy pace, such as say 5 minutes 45 per kilometre, I end up more steady paced at around 5 minutes 15 per kilometre with a similar feeling of effort. The same is true at other paces. When aiming for 5 minutes 15 per kilometre or so on a steady paced effort, I end up closer to about 4 minutes 50 per kilometre, not quite at, but getting close to tempo pace. And when I've planned to go fast, such as in tempo and hill sessions, the shoe has just given me everything that I've asked for, feeling light, comfortable and punchy. Being in high mileage weeks at the moment, as I hit the peaks of my London Marathon training before I start to taper down for the big day, I genuinely feel like the Superblast 3s have helped me hit my pace targets or often exceed them for all of my sessions since I've started to wear them. Sometimes these sessions have come back to back to back, but I've generally felt well recovered and raring to go for the next session. So do I have anything bad to say about the Superblast 3? Well, over the first 100 kilometers, I've got nothing negative to say about the Superblast 3 so far in terms of performance. I can't recall a more enjoyable first 100k in a shoe ever. Right now, if someone told me I was allowed to keep just one shoe for everything, it would be the Superblast 3. So I guess the only negative really is the price. Asics have stuck at their price point of £200 RRP in the UK, which is the same as the Superblast 2. When the Megablast came out and was priced at £210, and before the specs of the Superblast 3 were announced, I did wonder if we might see a price cut to the Superblast 3 to around £180 to place it a bit more between the Novablast and the Megablast. However, what I didn't expect was Asics to put FF Leap in the Superblast 3, and given that the Superblast 1 and 2 were still very often sold out in most sizes, I guess Asics just didn't see the need for a price cut. So that is it. There are my thoughts on the Asics Superblast 3. If you've worn them, I'd be interested in your experience, so let me know down in the comments. Remember to like the video and subscribe for the comparison review between the Superblast 3 and the Megablast. I also have the Li-Ning Red Hair 9 Ultra coming soon, which I'm really excited about trying. So until next time, I'll see you soon. See ya.